What if the king at its center, a king who consorted with gods, fought monsters, and searched for the secret of eternal life, was a real, historical figure? And what if, buried within his 4,500-year-old epic, is a survivor's testimony, a memory of a real, world-shattering cataclysm that nearly erased humanity before history even began? This isn't about myth. This is about evidence. Tonight, we are piecing together the Gilgamesh proof. The problem with ancient history is that it's often a blend of fact and legend. Take the Sumerian king list, which speaks of kings who ruled for tens of thousands of years. It's easy to dismiss it all as fantasy. But then, you find the name Gilgamesh, right there, listed not with a 30,000-year reign, but a more earthly 126 years. He's placed alongside verifiable historical kings. This is our first clue. He was considered a part of their real history. Before we uncover the physical proof, do me a huge favor. If you're ready to see how a legend gets verified, ignite that like button. It tells the algorithm you're invested in this journey. And I need to know, where in the world are you watching from right now? Drop your city and country in the comments. Let's see the reach of this community. Your engagement is what allows us to dive deep into stories like this. So, where is the proof for the man? It starts not with a heroic poem, but with a construction report. An ancient ledger, known as the Tumul inscription, explicitly names Gilgamesh and his son as the builders of a temple section. This is mundane, administrative record-keeping, the last place you'd expect to find a myth. Then we have the city he ruled, Uruk. At its peak, it was the largest city on Earth, a sprawling, chaotic, revolutionary metropolis. And here we find the archaeological signature of a powerful, centralized king. The walls of Uruk. The epic glorifies them. Archaeology confirms them. A defensive rampart nearly 10 kilometers long, with hundreds of towers. To coordinate thousands of workers, manage resources, and command the authority to build such a structure, you need a leader of immense power. The exact profile of a King Gilgamesh. The city itself is the evidence. This was the place where humanity first learned to write, where the first mass-produced objects, simple ration bowls, were made to feed a massive labor force. This level of complexity doesn't appear from nothing. It requires a catalyst, a king. But the soul of Gilgamesh is preserved on fragile clay. The Epic of Gilgamesh is the oldest piece of great literature we have. Its rediscovery is a story in itself. In the 1870s, a man named George Smith, piecing together broken fragments in the British Museum, stumbled upon a passage that stunned the world. It described a great flood, a divinely sent deluge, a man building a boat to save his family and the animals, and a bird sent to find land. The parallels to the biblical story of Noah were undeniable. But this account was written 1,000 years earlier. This is more than a story, it's a cultural memory. Modern science has now identified a potential trigger for this memory: the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. Around 12,800 years ago, a cascade of comet fragments may have struck the Earth, triggering a mini-ice age, burning the skies, and causing floods of biblical proportions. This event would have been an absolute reset for any developing civilization. The epic describes Gilgamesh meeting the flood's sole survivor, Utnapishtim. The details are not just myth. They are a potential echo of a real, prehistoric trauma, a cataclysm witnessed by humanity's first kings and preserved in the world's oldest story. So, what are we to make of Gilgamesh? He is a bridge, a historical king who built very real walls, and a legendary hero on a futile quest to escape death. After his friend Enkidu dies, Gilgamesh is shattered. He journeys to the ends of the earth, not for glory, but for immortality. And the secret he is finally given is perhaps the most profound in all of ancient literature: that eternal life is reserved for the gods. For us, the task is to cherish the finite, beautiful days we are given. The Gilgamesh proof isn't just that a king named Gilgamesh existed, it's that our oldest story is about the very thing that still defines us: our struggle with power, our grief for lost friends, and our timeless, human fear of mortality. He is the first hero because he was the first to be truly, heartbreakingly human. The search for evidence in the dust of history continues. What lost civilization should we investigate next? Let me know your thoughts below. If this journey resonated with you, subscribe to Winds of Thought. We explore the lines where history, legend, and evidence collide. Until next time, keep questioning. He built the first great city on Earth, and his story became humanity's oldest legend. But what if King Gilgamesh was more than just a myth? What if we now have proof that he truly existed, and that his epic tale contains hidden truths about a real apocalypse that nearly wiped out human civilization? The evidence is emerging from ancient clay tablets and modern scientific discoveries. A king who walked the earth 4,500 years ago may have witnessed a cosmic catastrophe so devastating, its memory was preserved for millennia in the world's first great story. Today we're uncovering the Gilgamesh proof, the compelling evidence that bridges ancient legend and historical reality. This journey will take us from the dusty ruins of Mesopotamia to cutting-edge scientific research that confirms a global cataclysm around 12,800 years ago. But first, if you're ready to explore where myth meets history, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Winds of Thought. Your engagement helps us bring these fascinating investigations to light. The search for the historical Gilgamesh begins with three remarkable pieces of evidence that transform him from legend into reality. First, the administrative records, ancient clay tablets documenting temple construction projects that specifically name Gilgamesh as the royal authority behind the work. These weren't heroic poems or legends, but practical business documents, the ancient equivalent of government contracts and building permits. Second, the archaeological footprint of Uruk itself, the city Gilgamesh ruled. The massive defensive walls he was famous for building have been excavated and measured. They stretched nearly 6 miles long with hundreds of defensive towers, a construction project that would have required the centralized authority of a powerful king. Third, the cultural impact. We find personal seals inscribed, "Servant of Gilgamesh," and ordinary citizens named after him in generations that followed. These are the kinds of historical echoes we see around verified historical figures, not mythical characters. But the most startling evidence connects Gilgamesh's story to real-world events. The epic describes Gilgamesh meeting the sole survivor of a great flood, a man named Utnapishtim who built a boat to save his family and animals from divinely sent waters. For centuries, scholars considered this just another myth. Then came the geological evidence. Modern science has identified what's now called the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, evidence that around 12,800 years ago, multiple comet fragments struck Earth, triggering a mini-ice age, massive wildfires, and global flooding. The timing aligns perfectly with the collapse of early human civilizations and the rise of new ones. The parallels are striking. Gilgamesh's flood story, recorded around 2100 BCE, describes events that science suggests actually occurred thousands of years earlier. This wasn't invented fiction. It was cultural memory, passed down through generations until it could be written in clay. What makes Gilgamesh so enduring isn't just that he might have been real, but that his story explores the most fundamental human questions. His desperate quest for immortality after watching his friend Enkidu die speaks to the universal human fear of mortality. His realization that eternal life belongs only to the gods, while humans must find meaning in their finite existence, remains one of the most profound philosophical insights ever recorded. Gilgamesh represents humanity's first great hero because he embodies our first great struggles with nature, with power, with loss, and with our own mortality. The proof of his existence matters because it suggests these struggles have defined us from the very beginning of civilization. The investigation continues as archaeologists uncover new evidence and scientists refine their understanding of ancient climate catastrophes. Each discovery brings us closer to understanding how much truth might be embedded in our oldest stories. What other ancient legends might contain hidden historical truths? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every one. If you found this exploration of where history meets legend compelling, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for Winds of Thought. We're just getting started uncovering the hidden connections between our past and present. The story of Gilgamesh reminds us that the search for meaning is humanity's oldest journey, one that continues to this day. Until our next investigation, keep questioning, keep wondering, and keep seeking the truth. The walls of Uruk stood as a testament to human achievement, But the true legacy of Gilgamesh wasn't carved in stone. It was pressed into clay. The discovery of his epic didn't just give us a story. It gave us a mirror showing the birth of human consciousness itself. Consider the psychological journey Gilgamesh undertakes. He begins as a tyrant, a ruler so consumed by his own power that he drains the vitality of his people. This isn't just ancient history. It's a study of untamed ego that feels remarkably modern. His transformation begins with the arrival of Enkidu, a wild man created by the gods to challenge him. Their first meeting is explosive, a battle of equals that shakes the very foundations of the city. But when neither can defeat the other, something extraordinary happens. They stop fighting and embrace. In that moment, humanity's first recorded friendship is born. This relationship becomes the catalyst for Gilgamesh's evolution from a selfish ruler to a fully realized human being. Together, they undertake their great quest to the cedar forest to confront the monster Humbaba. Modern interpretations suggest this journey represents humanity's first major conflict with nature, the systematic clearing of ancient forests to build civilization. The epic captures that pivotal moment when humans began to dominate their environment, complete with the psychological costs of that domination. When the gods punish their hubris by sentencing Enkidu to death, we witness humanity's first deep exploration of grief. Gilgamesh's reaction to his friend's death is raw, visceral, and deeply human. "What my brother is now, that shall I be when I am dead," he cries. "Because I am afraid of death, I will go as best I can to find Utnapishtim, whom they call the Faraway, for he has entered the assembly of the gods. To coordinate thousands of workers, manage resources, and command the authority to build such a structure, you need a leader of immense power. The exact profile of a King Gilgamesh. The city itself is the evidence. This was the place where humanity first learned to write, where the first mass-produced objects, simple ration bowls, were made to feed a massive labor force. This level of complexity doesn't appear from nothing. It requires a catalyst, a king. But the soul of Gilgamesh is preserved on fragile clay. The Epic of Gilgamesh is the oldest piece of great literature we have. Its rediscovery is a story in itself. In the 1870s, a man named George Smith, piecing together broken fragments in the British Museum, stumbled upon a passage that stunned the world. It described a great flood, a divinely sent deluge, a man building a boat to save his family and the animals, and a bird sent to find land. The parallels to the biblical story of Noah were undeniable. But this account was written 1,000 years earlier. This is more than a story, it's a cultural memory. Modern science has now identified a potential trigger for this memory: the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. Around 12,800 years ago, a cascade of comet fragments may have struck the Earth, triggering a mini-ice age, burning the skies, and causing floods of biblical proportions. This event would have been an absolute reset for any developing civilization. The epic describes Gilgamesh meeting the flood's sole survivor, Utnapishtim. The details are not just myth. They are a potential echo of a real, prehistoric trauma, a cataclysm witnessed by humanity's first kings and preserved in the world's oldest story. The enduring power of Gilgamesh lies in its timeless exploration of what it means to be human. His struggles with power, friendship, loss, and mortality are the same struggles we face today. The proof of his historical existence only deepens the resonance of his story, suggesting that these fundamental questions of human existence have been with us since the dawn of civilization itself. As we continue to uncover new evidence about our ancient past, the figure of Gilgamesh stands as a bridge between history and legend, reminding us that the most enduring stories are those that speak to the eternal questions of the human heart.